today's video, we talk about essentials of geometry. You can call it foundations of geometry. Geometry can be connected to real-life situations. One of the places geometry is very useful is in the construction world, whereby we have real-world scenarios where it has been used in the construction and also in engineering. We have builders, we have engineers that have used points, lines, while measuring distances, and you see them mark specific points where different elements will be placed. And this has really helped in the construction world and makes everything looks beautiful and fine. So we are looking at all these essentials of geometry. We talk about points, we talk about lines, we talk about line segments, we talk about angles, triangles, and we see how all these play a big role in making geometry an interesting topic. So come along as we go on with each of them. The first one is a point. So when we say a point, what are we talking about? A point is represented by a dot on a piece of paper, and we denote it by a capital letter. We have example to be, this is a point A, you can see capital A. Then we have point B, so you can have as many points as possible. Let's say point P. So this is the meaning of a point in geometry. The next thing we talk about is line. What is a line? So a line is a set of points. It may come in the form of a straight line or curved line. Example, this is a straight line, this is a curved line. It can also be a slant line, so we call this a line. Let's say, for example, we have this line here, then we have this point, we call it point A, then we call this point B, then we call this point C, and I want to name this line. So from A to C, this is my line, I denote it this way. From A to B, this is my line, I denote it this way. We also have from B to C, this is my line, I denote it this way. Recall from algebra, we have what we call a real line, or you can say number line. The only difference is that on this line you have numerical values, unlike the first example we did that we have alphabet. So it's still the same thing. We have this line here, and we have points. We can say -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. It ranges from negative infinity to positive infinity. So I can call this -2 to be my point A, and I can call 3 to be my point B. So the coordinate of A is what? -2, and the coordinate of B is 3. So we can see that this line also is related to real number and real line in algebra. Let's talk about line segments. So when we say segment, segments are made up of points, and they are always straight. They are always straight. So for example, we have this line, we can also have this line. So I can call this A, call this B, so I will have line AB. Then I have this to be P, this to be Q, this to be X. So I have what we call vertical line here, then I have horizontal line here. So for my vertical line, I have line PX, or you can say SP. For my horizontal line, that is ranging from left to right. You can have SQ or QS as the case may be. Let's talk about rays. Rays is just like lines, line segment, but the only thing, it begins at an end point and then extends infinitely in only one direction. So let's say we have this line. This is a rail. It will have an end point, let's say A, then it goes on, and you can have what? You can have this to be B. This is a rail. It must have an end point. My rail can also be slant, can take any shape. It must have an end point, let's say C, E. So how do I name this? So I have, for the first one, I have AB. So the last one, the end point will be the first one, AB, and you have the arrow as this. So here, the second one here, we have CE. We can have CE, and we can have CD. But wait, can we have DE? No. And why is that? Because D is not my end point. My end point is at C. So I can't have DE because D is at the middle. So I must always have something at the edge to write my rail. Let's talk about angles. I mean two rays that have the same end point. So consider this. This is a rail, one rail. This is another rail. Let me call this P, and let me call this Q. So the angle between them, angle PQ. We can also have it in different form. Let's say we have one to be this. We can have here to be A and B. So the angle here, we have angle AB. Also, we can have something in between this to be like this. When we call this O, then we have what? Angle POQ. So angle is like the combination of two rays that have the same endpoint. So here is their endpoint coming together to form an angle. We talked briefly about triangles. Triangle has 3 segments as its sides. So we have it to be this. Call this A, call this B, and call this C. So this is a triangle. So if I'm looking for this angle, I will have triangle BAC. So the angle I'm looking for will be at the middle. If I'm looking for this angle, I have triangle, I can have BCA, or you can call it triangle ACB. Just make sure your C is at the center. So if I'm looking for this angle, I have triangle ABC or triangle CBA, depending on what you want to call it. So that's all about point, line segment, angles, and triangles. So let's see how all this play out. Let's consider some examples. Example, the first one, given this line PQR, we can see this is a rail because it has endpoints here and goes on and on and on and on. So name the rail that has endpoint P and goes in the direction of R. So how can we do that? Goes in direction of R. So I have the first one to go like this to R, that is PR. Then I have the next one to go from P to Q, that is PQ. So do we have QR? No, because Q is not an endpoint. So my rail is just two, PR and PQ. Then the next one says name the segment joining P and Q. So what can we name that? That is a line, right? So we have one PQ. This is the line joining them together. So if I'm to write this, this is P and Q line, and also I can go back QP. This is the line segment. So let's consider this other example. How many lines are shown? So from here we have this this is the first line, and this is the second line. So we have just two of them. Can you name them? So for the first line, we have D to E. You know, you have to denote your line like this. And also we can have E to D. You can call it ED. We have DB, or you can call it BD. We also have this, now this small m means this line can also be called line M. So we can make use of any alphabet to call a particular line, not just necessarily a point. So this, in this case, it can be small m. So this small m represents all this line. So m. So the first line can be all this: DE, ED, DB, BD, and M. So this is the first line. Now for the second line, we have what? This is what we are talking about for the second line. So we have AC or CA. We also have AB, BA. We have BC, CB. And that is all for this line. So the next question says, point of intersection of the two lines is at where? Now we have this line and this line. Intersection is where they kind of meet, and that is at B. So it's at what? It's at point B. Then the last question, what is the union of BA and BD? This is my BA and this is my BD. So what is the union? It means the combination, just as you have it in set. So the combination of both is what? So the combination of both is angle ABG. ABG. So far so good to discuss point, line segment, rays, angles, and triangles. And this will really help us in our next topic, even as we dive more into important topics on geometry. Thank you for listening. See you next class.